Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning meditation. So good to be here with you. I want to talk this morning about racing thoughts. Racing thoughts, where do they come from? What's going on? What's happening? There are lots of reasons that we could have racing thoughts. Perhaps there's an event coming up that we feel excited about or anxious about. Anxiety and anxiousness come from, or anxiety and excitement come from the same part of the brain. It's just our intention and our perspective is what shifts that from either it's anxiety that we're feeling about it or we're excited about it. But both of those emotions elicit adrenaline and cortisol and dopamine and, all of, maybe not dopamine, but that's the difference. One of the differences between them is that excitement has a little bit of dopamine um, factor going on in there. So, but both of those situations can cause us to have racing thoughts because we're thinking about it. What am I going to do? What's it going to be like? Oh, I can't wait to get there. Oh gosh, I don't want to be there. All of that can be going on about a particular situation. We can have racing thoughts because we had too much coffee. We can have racing thoughts because um, there's something going on in the air that is making us feel uneasy. Maybe there's world events going on that's causing us to feel worry. Worry is a very big motivator of racing thoughts, right? Or if not racing, at least redundant thoughts. So part of what we can do about that, fortunately, we can do something about it, and that is not to make the thoughts turn off. It's what we're doing with them when they come up that makes the difference. So in our meditation time, we practice letting the thoughts come up and just not paying attention, not giving them a lot of attention, not going, okay, I'm going to follow that thought and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to turn it into a conversation in my head. We focus on pulling ourselves back to our center, back to our breath. And certainly that's a fabulous way to help us through a time of racing thoughts. It's a lot easier to get out of racing thoughts when we're not feeling afraid or we're not feeling super excited about something. It's a lot easier to pull ourselves out when those kind of events aren't happening. But they're still not helpful either way. Even in our excitement, that feels much better than anxiety. Our racing thoughts can get in the way of our mental clarity. And it doesn't mean we don't feel excited about things. It just means that we're mindful about how we're feeling excited about something. We can be looking forward to something without it causing us to race, 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 because when our mind is racing, our actions race. And that puts us in a place of not mindfulness. And there's the times when we trip and fall or we turn the wrong direction or, whatever that just gets in our way of being able to be in the flow that we want to be in, that equanimity that, if excitement is over on this side and anxiety is over on this side, we don't really want to be stuck in either one. We want to be in this middle so we can feel when we feel anxious or worried about something, we can feel it enough to do something about it, and sometimes we do nothing about it, and that's the right action, which means then we work with that. Or we feel excited about something. It's okay to feel excited about something, but we want to stay in this balanced perspective, like the trunk of the tree. Meditation often uses people who teach meditation, who talk about it, write about it, often use the trunk of a tree as our goal, right? We want to be the trunk of that tree. So the leaves may be flowing and the wind may be moving the tree a little bit here and there, but the trunk is solid. It's solid and it's strong, and it's really not going to be swayed much by the wind at all. We've got palm trees down here in Florida, and I just heard the other day that those are the strongest trees. Those are the ones that withstand the hurricanes, right? Because their roots are deeper, I guess. I don't know. But their trunks are just so strong and narrow that the wind just goes right by them and they stay standing. And that's really kind of what our goal is, to just be that trunk of our center, that trunk of ourselves while the wind blows in whatever direction the wind is blowing. So another way we can manage anxious thoughts or racing thoughts is to come up with a word or an affirmation that we say over and over again out loud, quietly to yourself if you can, and that's fine. But excuse me, when we say a word or affirmation out loud, that our brain is hearing our own voice and it follows our own voice more than it's going to follow the thoughts, just because mm, there's more, the brain pays attention to sensory items before it pays attention to what's going on in the mind. So when we're saying our word or affirmation out loud, when we're having racing thoughts, then our brain pays attention to what we're saying. And if we pay attention to what we're saying too, and not just say it just to say it and try to get the racing thoughts, but to say it and really focus on what we're saying, then the whole self, it's like watching our breath. Our whole self then orients toward that affirmation that we're saying. So when we're having racing thoughts, it's important to find a word or a phrase that resonates with you. I can give you some examples, but my examples aren't the right ones to do. They're not the magic ones to do. They're just some that I use that help me sometimes. But you can find your own that feels really good, that just hits your center and goes, oh yeah, I can get into this. I believe this. So some of them that we can use is, I'm just trusting the whole situation. I'm just trusting. 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 And I will say that out loud, just like I was doing, but for, as long as I need to, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, until my whole insides shift into that. And you will feel that when you're paying attention, you can feel that shift of, okay, now my thoughts are present with me instead of me being present with my thoughts. My thoughts are present with me. And now I can breathe and relax. So I'm okay. I'm okay. Or it's out of my hands. 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 And to keep going with that. Some other ones are peace, be still. Peace, be still. Be still. And it's kind of a command to our mind body system. Just be still. Be still. Our breath very much can help racing thoughts, although sometimes saying something out loud helps it better because it's taking our brain's attention in a different way than focusing inward on our breath. Because when we focus inward on our breath, you probably notice that we're getting quiet, we're getting still, so the mind can seem louder because we're going within, and that's where all of our thoughts are blah, 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 going all over the place. But so when we focus on our breath, a lot of times that's one of the big deterrents for people to meditate, is because, well, when I can focus on my breath or focus on my center or my toes or my nose or whatever, and all I hear are those thoughts, and I don't like hearing those thoughts. Well, yes. And sometimes somebody's nervous system in certain situations can be too activated, so they need to do other things before they're going to be meditating like we're doing on Monday mornings, because they need something different. But for our purposes, we go in and we listen to that breath and we use that as our focus, and calming the breath calms the mind and it calms the body And it does the same thing that we're talking about. These statements or affirmations do as well. They all help bring us into that trunk of the tree, to that center. So just to give you more things to try on in between our meditation times on Monday. Hopefully you have your own meditation every day. Um, but everybody has racing thoughts. So being able to have some tools to work with um, can just be very helpful. You know, I like journaling too. I don't love to journal, but I like it as a tool and I use it because it works. You know, so writing down the racing thoughts and just giving them a voice. But the act of writing, it's not about what's being said because you already know it's going like this. What everything that it's saying is right up here. You know that. But writing it down is taking the body and putting the body into action, doing something. So it's relieving some of that energy that's happening in with from those racing thoughts. And it is letting the racing thoughts have their say. So we're not resisting them. We're just going, okay, fine. Just, like that friend, you need to just go, my friend just needs to talk and I'm just going to listen. I don't need to say a word. It's the same kind of thing. We're doing that for our racing thoughts when we're writing them down. And that can help too, but it's also a physical release as we're doing that writing. So we've got lots of good tools. The important part is to pull ourselves into our present moment enough when those racing thoughts are happening to go, okay, I don't need to be in this mind space right now. I can do something about it. And then we take action. It's will they go away on their own? Of course. Yeah. Thoughts come and go, racing thoughts come and go. And we can also do a little something that helps bring our um, bring our nervous systems down a few notches and helps us focus faster, sooner, and then we're in charge of it. And it's not something that we're being subjected to. It is something we're being subjected to, but we can do something about it. So we don't have to keep being subjected to it. So anyway, that's the thought for the day. Racing thoughts. So now we're going to just go into our meditation time, and I invite you to use a word or a phrase. And, we're all in our own spaces, so you can say it out loud to help you focus. Some people use the word Om, which is the name of cosmic energy, if you will. And it's also a nice word for us because we don't use it in our everyday context, so it's not associated with a lot for most people. Maybe it is for you, but for most people, it's not associated with um, anything. I know that this was years ago, but sometimes I would just say waffle, because waffle was not a word that has any, I'm not overly excited about waffles and I don't hate them. So it was just a nice neutral word that pulled my mind into my present moment. And it was kind of silly, so that helped also. So we are talking, you can use anything at all, anything at all. You want to use a swear word, use a swear word. It doesn't matter. But use it to bring your attention to yourself in this moment. So I invite you to do that out loud. I won't, because then my word will interfere with yours. And I want you to have this time to practice with your own statement, word, and just say it out loud um, until you feel you can say it quietly within yourself. And you will notice that shift. Your body relaxes, your your thoughts do slow down and they get more focused. And when we're speaking, we're also working with our breath as well. So it really is a type of breath work also. So I invite you to get comfortable in your chairs if you're not already and take a couple of deep breaths. We just like doing this because it lets our mind body system know that we're switching gears here a little bit from listening, learning, thinking to simply being. And as you take those deep breaths, just give your body permission to let go and melt into the chair you're sitting in. And focus on your breath for a few moments. Maybe you already have your word or phrase, something nurturing. We're not demanding that the thoughts stop. We're just giving our brain something different to focus on. And just say your word or phrase. And depending on how much your thoughts are racing, you can say it loud and repeat it quickly over and over again. Short durations in between, just to help your brain listen to your voice instead of to the thoughts. Or maybe your thoughts were already fairly calm this morning, knowing that we have our meditation time. So maybe the word just helps you, your word or phrase helps you interrupt any thoughts that are going on. And just notice what's happening inside. Is your word or phrase helping your thoughts to slow down? It's okay if it's not. If that's not what's happening, then bring your focus to your breath and just breathe from your belly. Just feel that peaceful breath moving in and out of your body. One benefit of racing thoughts that we can count on is that they're not really saying anything important ever. So we don't have to worry that we're missing something by not paying attention to them. Racing thoughts seldom help us towards a solution, but being present, being clear does. These are tools that we can use anytime. And maybe saying something out loud works one moment, but not another. So we just have all these options to work with. Our breath, our words, writing things down, going for a walk, watching something that makes us smile, laugh, or feel good. These help distract from that pull of a racing mind. Helps us to let it go because it's not helping us with anything. And if you can meditate more this morning with your word or watching your breath, I invite you to do so. If you need to go about your day, we are leaving the racing thoughts behind, and take with you throughout your day your word, your phrase, and just use it all day long. Let it continue to bring you back to yourself throughout the day, throughout the week. And take a couple of deep breaths if you're transitioning into your daily routine. Taking all of this with you, but not the racing thoughts. I look forward to seeing you next week, and enjoy working with these tools in the meantime. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.